to do this because apparently this guy from the Johnny Depp Amber Heard trial reminds a lot of people of this guy. So here you go.
I'm an expert witness. I'm saying as an expert witness.
Let's start with the easy question then.
That was pretty easy. Go ahead.
Doctor, you're going to have to just answer the questions.
Okay, sorry about that. Having trouble getting into this.
You need to just answer the question.
Okay. I'm not sure why we're arguing psychiatry, because I'm telling you what it is.
Dr. Steve, you just need to answer the question.
Okay.
Mr. Depp fell asleep with ice cream in his hand. That's not vomitous, right?
I was told it was vomitous.
Okay.
It does fit just a little too well, doesn't it?
You're joking. Not another one? Oh, for God's sake, I can't stand this.
Hello, welcome back to the Unintentional Juror podcast. I go by the name of Heinz, and thank you so much for tuning in for another episode. Yes, another one for Diddy. He has another lawsuit has been filed against him, and yes, we're gonna be going through all 6 lawsuits today, as well as going through the Robert Peller's trial. Welcome back to the Unintentional Juror podcast. Thank you so much, everyone that are in right now. Hello, random girl. I see you in the chat. You're the first one here. Shout out to you for tuning in, and shout out to everyone as well that have tuned in and are watching this one back. Yes, another Diddy lawsuit. 6, not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4. But 6 new lawsuits, all from the same law firm, if I'm not mistaken, all clocking at the same time, all at the same time on the same day. Wow! And I've had a breeze through them, not a full read, but just a breeze through all of these lawsuits. I just gotta check my phone right there. So once again, shout out to everyone that are locked in right now and are listening to the 11th episode of the Unintentional Juror podcast. Outside the lawsuits, we are also going to be looking at the not just at the sentencing of Robert Tayez, who was found guilty of murder, first-degree murder against I forgot his name. It'll come back to me. But he killed him. He killed him in cold blood on that fateful day, and he has been found guilty by the jury. So it's sentencing. We shall be going through that, and also not only that we shall be going through updates from the Sarah Boone trial. Oh damn, I don't know why I just blanked down that one. But yes, but a little bit of updates from the Sarah Boone trial. But yes, shout out to everyone that are tuned in. Let me go into the chat right now. 1 second. Let me just get this up properly. Okay, let me just get this up. Okay. Shout out to everyone that are locked in right now. Let me know how you're feeling in the chat. Make sure you hit the like button as well. Okay, so make sure you hit the like button as well. Let me know how you're feeling. Busby, yes, Busby is he's saying one of them are already receiving settlements. Okay, that lawyer out of Houston, my neck of the woods, he was saying they're already receiving settlements. Let me know who this already, all of them receiving settlements. Random girl, thank you so much for saying that in the chat. Put a link in there if you know where I can find this, so that I can read this out right live. I did not know this. Yes, it was the Busby. Law firm that are conducting these cases. Wow, I did not know that. I did not actually know that. Wow, another settlement. Okay, so let's go into it. So the Diddy cases. The Diddy cases. So there is. Let's go into the first lawsuit, and it's John. Not they're all Jane and John Doe's, by the way. They're all Jane and John Doe's. They are not naming who settled. I'm not surprised, because if there are settlements from this lawsuits, if there are settlements from this lawsuit, then they're not gonna name who is for, because they're all Jane and John Doe. So, but let's go through the first lawsuit here. So Random Girl says, from our people, they are naming the ones who settled, but they are from the Busby firm, right? They are from the Busby firm, correct? Let me know if they are from the Busby firm. So let's go into the first lawsuit here, and I am reading. I'm reading from the Jane Doe versus Diddy, and this lawsuit is from Jane Doe resides in Tennessee. So the first part just goes through his history of his pervasive. it just goes through history, not really that important as of yet. What I want is, okay, so I'm also read this because it's gonna give us, it's gonna give us a firm background of the lawsuit he had. So I'll start here at number 8. It says, Combs, while celebrated for his business acumen and influence in the entertainment world, he has often been described as more of a troubling light, as powerful, manipulative, and problematic. His aggressive tactics, both in business and personal dealings, have drawn criticism, with many viewing him as someone who leverages his power to intimidate and control. This darker side of Combs' persona has been underscored by numerous lawsuits and allegations that have surfaced over the years. Despite the undeniable success, his rise to the top is marked by a reputation of being ruthless and manipulative, or using his influence in ways they have left a trail of legal and personal controversies, including but not limited to the following: nightclub shooting in 1999. I'm not going to go through all of them. Multiple assault allegations, business disputes, claims by Cassie Ventura, Combs' former girlfriend, all who alleged sexual abuse, physical, emotional, and sexual abuse during their relationship. Cassie allegedly repeated stances or instances of assault, coerce, sexual acts, and drug use, all contributing to an environment of fear and manipulation. Number 9, paragraph 9, I should say, or number 9 actually. Combs particularly fancied the use of the date grape drug Rohypnol. I don't know what that is, or GHB. Don't know what that is either. To commit heinous non-consensual acts of sexual violence and rape against countless victims. Combs often would secretly use the drug in an alcoholic beverage served at his parties, typically in a seemingly innocent glass of champagne or lemon drop. Partygoers were forced to consume the alcohol beverage containing GHB either prior to entering or while at Combs' party. There are also allegations of Combs that dousing victims in lotions or similar body oils, also laced with GBH, so that the drug would absorb through the victim's skin and make it easier to take advantage of, exploit, and assault him or her. I never even knew that was actually possible. That is some level of evil I could not comprehend. I didn't know that was even possible. Wow. In the past years, numerous civil complaints have been filed by plaintiffs who allege that they have been sexually abused by Combs between 1991 and 2009. In 2023, 3 lawsuits were filed against Combs. 3 lawsuits were filed against Combs under the New York Survivors Act. Cassie Ventura, an artist signed to Bad Boy, sued Combs in New York for rape and physical abuse. She alleged Combs facilitated these acts by and through supplying Miss Ventura with copious amounts of drugs and urging her to take them beginning in 2016. Joy Dixon Neal also sued in New York, alleging Combs drugged her, sexually assaulted her, and secretly recorded the assault in 1991. Lisa Gardner, whom Combs met at an event hosted by an record label affiliate with Bad Boy, sued him for raping her and a friend in 1990 and 1991 when she was only 16. In December 2023, anonymous plaintiff sued Combs in New York for drugging and gang raping her in 2003, and she was only 17 years old. This victim alleged that employees and business associates of Combs, through their affiliation with Bad Boy Enterprise, lured her to Combs' home, where Combs raped her. And in February 2024, Rodney Jones, Lil Rod, also known as Lil Rod, one of Combs' former producers, sued Combs for forcing him to engage in unwanted sex acts and sex trafficking, among other allegations. Mr. Jones alleged that Combs regularly drugged others, including minors, by giving them drugs laced with ecstasy, MDMA, which is MDMA, and other day grape drugs. Mr. Jones alleged that Combs in fact drugged him as well in order to commit acts of sexual assault. In May 2024, former model Crystal McKinney and April Campos sued Combs. McKinney alleged that Combs drugged and sexually assaulted her at his recording studio in 2023, mimicking what has now become a known pattern. Combs promised Miss McKinney to help her with her modeling career in exchange for sexual contact with him. Miss Lampros, an intern at Arista Records, which was an owner of Bad Boy, also sued Combs in May 2024. In May 2024, in New York County Supreme Court for raping her on multiple occasions, secretly filming these acts, and showed the recordings to multiple people. Ms. Lampros also alleges that Combs ordered her to take drugs on one occasion before he raped her. In September 2024, former adult star Adria English, who was employed by Combs as an entertainer at his infamous white parties that brought the biggest names in music and entertainment industries, sued Combs in Southern District of New York for sex trafficking, alleged that he required her to consume and lace and secretly recorded sexual acts. We're going through this really quickly so that we can give an idea of the amount of cases against P. Diddy right now, so that we don't have to go through them later on. But in all these lawsuits, they're all the same. They all have this background. So we're just going through just as a recap to what Sean Combs is facing currently. So number 17 says, in September 2024, singer and songwriter John and Lake Richard, who was also a member of Dynasty Kane, also sued Combs. Richard was employed by Combs as part of a girl group called Dynasty Kane, formed by Combs and later as the key member of Combs' band Diddy Money. She sued Combs in New York for sexual assault, forced imprisonment, and for subjecting her to hostile working conditions due to her gender, including degrading comments and threats. Miss Richard also alleged that Combs supplied others, including minors, with copious amounts of drugs and alcohol, and subjecting them to sexual acts while they were sedated and unconscious due to the drugs and alcohol. 18 in September 2024, a federal grand jury in Manhattan indicted and charged him with sex trafficking, racketeering, and creation of criminal enterprise in which he abused, threatened, coerced women and others to fulfill his sexual desires, protect his reputation, etc. So, that's all we have. Okay, so that's all we have. Let's go down to the factual allegations. So this particular plaintiff is suing Diddy as well as his businesses and enterprises. Okay, so let's read this here. Okay, so it says, so the factual allegations that's made. Why is it freezing all the time though? I don't know why. I don't know why it's freezing. Before we go into that, let's go into the chat. Okay, I meant that. Yes, it was Tony Busby saying they have already received money from other celebrities. The bottom banner is from. I don't know what you mean by this one. So sorry, random. I don't know. I don't know what you mean. Let me know in chat what you mean. Combs. Okay, so reading. Oh gosh. I don't know why this why this Acrobat is slow. Maybe I'm not using the proper one. Let me install it. Oh, it's same issue persists. Okay, let me try again. Okay, the same issue persists. I think it's just my computer that's slow. Can't be though. This is anyway. Let me try and wait for it to come back online. So it says Combs and his staff regularly invited members from the public. Hold on 1 second. It's frozen again. Okay, let's start again. Jane Doe from Tennessee. Okay. Okay, let's share that. Okay, so it says Combs and his staff regularly invited members of the public to events such as music video shoots and autograph signing, photo shoots, autograph signings in and around. Oh gosh, oh, thank you. I didn't see that one. My bad. Thank you for that. I didn't see that. My bad. Yeah, did not see that one. My bad. That was embarrassing. Okay. Let's start this again. Okay, cool. In and around New York City, one such event took place in 2004 across the street from Jane Doe's college campus in Brooklyn, New York. Through Miss Doe's friends and Combs, accomplices and agents, Miss Doe received an invitation to Combs for photo shoot. She was 19 years old at the time. She was flattered and excited to receive such an invitation from an individual of Combs' celebrity and stature. Miss Doe accompanied her friends to the event and discovered that it was a photo shoot promoting the band, a recording group Combs signed to his record label Bad Boy Entertainment. At the photo shoot, she and one of her good friends, another freshman living in the dormitory with Miss Doe, were eventually invited to an after party by Combs' business associates. Before leaving for the party, Miss Doe had met Combs at the photo shoot. Combs told Miss Doe and her friend that they should come to his hotel first for a more exclusive party. Miss Doe and her friends agreed and were taken to a Manhattan area Marriott hotel by a member of Combs' entourage. Upon arriving at the hotel suite, Miss Doe noticed that there were a dozen people there having drinks and listening to music in a relaxed party environment while attempting to mingle around the party. Miss Doe and her friends were suddenly grabbed and taken to a separate room of the main party. Miss Doe believed a man taking them to be a security guard, so she went with him. But when she asked him where they're going, he simply told her, "You know what you are here for." That cannot be any more scary. If I try to do it in another voice, it cannot be any more scarier. That's harrowing. After Miss Doe and her friend. After taking Miss Doe and her friend to the bathroom, the security guard left the room and locked the door. The only person in the room besides Miss Doe and her friend was Combs. Combs gave me Miss Doe and her friend drinks, then instructed them to imbibe. Imbibe? Is that a word? Hold up. Define imbibe. Oh, wow. Drink alcohol. Oh, wow. Imbibe cocaine. So basically intake. So that's what imbibe means. I've never heard of that word until today. Wow, okay, cool. Imbibe cocaine that he had prepared for use on the coffee table. Miss Doe did not want to do the cocaine. Combs continued to getting gradually more aggressive with the two women and eventually began forcibly touch them without consent. When they resisted, Combs ordered Miss Doe's friend to perform oral sex on him, or else he would have them both killed. Miss Doe's friend complied as Miss Doe begged Combs to allow them to leave. He did not agree. Okay. Combs soon turned his sights to Miss Doe and forced her to take her clothes off. Again, under the threat of violence. She was undressed. Combs forced herself on her and began to sexually assault her. Combs fondled, molested, and ultimately raped Miss Doe, all while she was begging him to stop. Soon, likely due to Miss Doe's cries, the door opened and the security guard from earlier in came to ask if everything was alright. Miss Doe's friend took the opportunity to rush out the recently locked door. Miss Doe, however, could not move as Mr. Combs was still on top of her. Combs got off Miss Doe to talk to the security guard. He left the room but told Miss Doe to stay, otherwise she would be killed. After about half an hour of sitting in the dark room by herself, another security guard came and told her that she could leave. Miss Doe gathered her things and left immediately and called a taxi back to her dormitory in downtown Brooklyn. That's a lot. So the course of action that she's seeking is that's a lot. That is a lot. That's the first victim. That's the first victim in this case. Down, and we got 5 more to go. Let me just read this quickly. The first course of action here is, it says plaintiff hereby incorporates each of the foregoing paragraphs as is fully set forth herein. By forcing sexual contact onto plaintiff, specifically by physical assaulting him and then forcibly raping plaintiff, defendant Combs committed a crime of violence motivated by gender under the Gender Victims of Gender Motivated Violence Protection Act as defined in New York Administrative Code. So most of the lawsuits are like this. Most of those that we're about to read are like that, and except for one lawsuit, I think that's the one of the John Doe, who was also sexually assaulted by only his lawsuit is a bit different, which we are going to cover. It says the requirement. Okay, so we're not going to read all of this, just that part. Okay, it's cool. So Okay, so let's go into this particular one. We're not gonna read all of this. This is the current lawsuit by John Doe. John Doe from who resides in Ohio. So this is John Doe, and again you can find all of the lawsuits here. You can find all the lawsuits here in the Diddy Mini-Report that I've done. It's all you can find it in the description. I think it's there. You can find it in the description. I'll put it there now. If it's not there, one second. Let me just check that it's there. Yep, it's there. Okay, so you can find the Diddy Mini-Report there, and yeah, and you can go read the lawsuits for yourself. But for now, let's go down into this John Doe's course of action. Sorry, not course of action. Factual allegation. So it says in 2008, plaintiff worked as an advisor for Echo Clothing and had been employed by the company for approximately 7 years. Echo Clothing at the time was among the most popular clothing lines in the country. In 2018, Combs' Sean John clothing line was also hitting peak popularity. Plaintiff had in fact met Combs several times in connection with Combs' the development and marketing of Sean John clothing line. Echo and Sean John were competing lines within the clothing industry, both having had a large amount of success with the hip hop community. Moreover, both lines had relationships that with and were carried at the time by Macy's, a well-known department store. In or around May 2008, plaintiff was in the stockroom at Macy's flagship store at Herald Square in Manhattan when Combs and 3 of his bodyguards entered the stockroom. Plaintiff came upon Combs and his bodyguards at a T-junction in the stockroom, where the plaintiff had very little room to maneuver. Combs was flanked by 2 large bodyguards to the left and 1 large bodyguard to the right. Immediately after turning a corner in the stockroom, plaintiff was hit hard around the head, hard around the base of the neck, possibly with a pistol. The blow forced plaintiff to his hands and knees. As plaintiff looked up, he saw that each of the bodyguards had guns in their waistbands. Plaintiff heard multiple voices call out like, "I'll kill you." Why would they do this? Did I miss something? This is so weird. Why would they do this? What's the reason? Combs approached plaintiff while plaintiff was still on his hands and knees and said, "Suck my dick," referring to the clothing line that plaintiff worked for. This guy was just an employee. Anyway, Combs thereafter forced his penis into plaintiff's mouth and proceeded to forcefully and brutally already rape plaintiff. Combs continued for at least 2 minutes until ejaculating. While orally raping plaintiff, Combs grabbed plaintiff's hair and made the sounds like, "You like that, white boy?" Yeah. After he was finished, Combs threw plaintiff's head aside and said words to the effect of, "Shut up or I'll kill you." Combs and his bodyguard began to leave, taunting plaintiff as they did. Combs proceeded to gather Sean John merchandise from the stockroom. He left the stockroom and headed out to Macy's retail floor, where he began passing out merchandise to the adoring crowd as if nothing had happened. In shock and traumatized, plaintiff gathered himself and went into Macy's security to report the assault. By this point, Combs and his bodyguard had left the store. Plaintiff was told that someone would speak with him, but no one ever did. Shortly after, Macy's stopped, letting plaintiff into his flagship Herald Square store. Oh my gosh! So the business was basically in on it. Approximately 2-3 weeks later, Terry Lundgren, CEO of Macy's, pressured Echo executives to fire plaintiff because Macy's had just signed a multi-million-dollar deal with Sean John Clothing. Echo therefore terminated plaintiff from employment, and plaintiff was told he could no longer live in his company-paid apartment. Plaintiff is informed and believes that the report of the assault was destroyed or otherwise purged from Macy's records, and no action was ever taken as a result of the report. Plaintiff ultimately had to move out of New York. Plaintiff still fears for his life as a result of the incident and threats made against him on that day, including the fact that the plaintiff was known to Combs by way of his work with rival company Echo. Okay, well, that was okay. Same as previously. Is the same. Like I said, it's the same across the board. But this time I will read this, but it says so the course of action is the Combs business and defendant Macy's conspired with and enabled Combs to commit crime of violence motivated by gender, because Combs sexually assaulted plaintiff at a department store doing business with the Combs business and carrying Combs business products. On information on belief, Combs business routinely committed sexual assault and gender motivated violence as detailed in other civil lawsuits to further the business purpose of Combs enterprise. Given Combs' long-standing pattern of practice of committing sexual assault violence against men, the Combs business had or should have had knowledge of Combs using such venues for his unlawful conduct and did nothing to stop it, which is fair. I think that's okay, cool. That's John Doe done free. The next one is John Doe from New Jersey. John Doe from New Jersey. There's so many lawsuits. What is it? Well, I've got 18 here officially on the. I still have to write down one more. But 18. I forgot to add in Adria English. Her lawsuit is 114 pages long. Yeah. Let me just read the chat quickly. The John Doe one, they were the John Doe, random girl says the John Doe one, the John Doe was the one I read before sending you the info. Yeah. Oh yeah, thanks random girl for this info. I forgot to say thank you for that. Yeah, she I think when the lawsuits were filed, she was like, oh my gosh, you gotta see this. I was like, what is it? And then she linked me to this lawsuit. So thank you for that. For sending that over, random girl. The best mod in, believe me on that one, the best mod there is. Okay, cool. Let me just pull this up a little bit. Hold on, let me just arrange this a little bit now that I'm a bit more relaxed. Oh, okay, no, that's not gonna work. Okay, cool. All right. Okay, cool. So let's read the John Doe from New Jersey. These are all from the same law firm, Busby law firm. They're all from the same law firm. The factual allegations against Sean Combs. Sean Combs' infamous white parties were legendary events known for their exclusivity, extravagance, and strict dress code, where the attendees were required to wear all white. These high-profile parties, particularly those held at Combs' estate in the Hamptons, attracted Haley celebrities from across the entertainment, fashion, and business worlds. The events were lavishly decorated, featured live music performances, and boasted top-tier food and beverages. The atmosphere at these parties were one of opulence and luxury, often making headlines for their celebrity guest list, over-the-top entertainment, and stunning aesthetics of the events. Many unsuspecting individuals were recruited to attend these parties. Some of this recruitment took place in Manhattan. Many individuals were also recruited in Los Angeles and were paid to fly in and to attend these functions. In 2006, plaintiff was employed by security firm Mass Security, where he provided security services for the nightclubs and private events. In August of that year, plaintiff accepted a last-minute job at Combs' East Hampton property, which he believed was hosting an exclusive white party for a large affluent crowd. Plaintiff noted that the guests arrived upon luxury vehicles, and many appeared to be executives. Upon plaintiff's arrival, he was greeted by Combs, the event's host, who expressed interest in meeting all the staff members. During their interaction, Combs offered plaintiff another job opportunity working security, which plaintiff ultimately declined due to his father's severe illness and challenges of relocating. Combs appeared sympathetic to plaintiff's situation and understanding of his decision. As the event progressed, Combs targeted plaintiff and provided him with 2 alcoholic drinks throughout the night. After consuming a second drink, plaintiff began to feel extremely ill and leaned against his truck for support. Based on information and belief, Combs by himself, through his agent or through his agents and employees, previously laced the drink with drugs, including but not limited to GHB or ecstasy. This behavior towards plaintiff mimics the pattern of Combs and his agents and employees drugging unsuspecting victims in order to make it easier for Combs to sexually assault that person. Unfortunately, plaintiff was one such victim. A photograph of an exemplary container used by Combs and his or his agent to insert GHB into his oxygen is seen below. And that's not gonna be the first. That's not gonna be the last time you will see that photograph. That's not gonna be the last time. Believe me, you're gonna see another one. Combs approached him again, inquiring about his well-being and displaying what plaintiff initially interpreted as concern. However, he soon found himself forcibly pushed into an open van by Combs, an act that left him in considerable pain. Once inside the van, plaintiff was held down by Combs, who overpowered him while he struggled to escape due to the effects of drugs in his system. In a horrific turn of events, Combs sexually assaulted plaintiff by inserting his penis into plaintiff's anus and sodomizing him, all while dismissing the plaintiff pleas for help by repeatedly saying, "You'll be all right." After the assault, Combs left the plaintiff in the van and proceeded back to the party. Plaintiff struggled to leave the party due to the drugs he believed to be in his system from the alcoholic drinks provided. As plaintiff was leaving the party, he experienced a disturbing sensation as a lubricant-like fluid leaked from him, which he believed to be semen, causing him profound disgust. When plaintiff finally managed to leave the scene and return home, he informed his supervisor of the incident. Upon arriving home and showering, plaintiff noticed more semen discharge, which intensified his feelings of violation and revulsion. In the aftermath of the assault, plaintiff struggled with intense emotional pain and mental health issues, feeling disgusted and deeply depressed. Plaintiff has experienced a significant impact on his personal life. He has never married and often struggles to maintain relationships due to the assault. Plaintiff describes himself as an all-American guy, yet acknowledges that not a day goes by without thoughts of the traumatic incident. That was, in my opinion, that was very hard to read. I won't lie. Not just for how it's just how graphic it is, and also the methods that which Diddy uses to break someone down, because as you read there, he appeared to be understanding, gain distrust at the story of the father passing, etc., and he was quite sympathetic, and then after gaining his trust, he then, for what I could think would be the reason for doing this, would be, how dare you say no to me, or how dare you prioritize of someone else over me. But he done it. As I was reading it, I could feel like in his head he probably thought, I'll get you back for that. Okay, you wanna go down that route? Fine, let's go. Let's go down that route, and then slips the drug down after not only getting him primed for the sexual assault, but because the other one was just oral, like that was just random, right? The last lawsuit that we read, that was from the other John Doe from Ohio, that was just random. But this one from Jersey seems a lot more calculated. Like he had to break him down one, or leave a message that you can never do that to me. So how do you break him? Not only do you sedate him, but also any rape. That's the one way to literally break someone down, like a man, so to speak. That's one way to do it. Like the psychology behind this is actually disturbing when you look at it. When you look at it, that's the one thing. Like sometimes it's just random, almost maniac like the previous lawsuit that we read, but this one seemed a lot more calculated. It seemed like he was out to teach this guy a lesson for choosing to prioritize his father over him. That's what it seems like to me, which is equally as disturbing. It's just okay. Jane Doe from New York, her lawsuit reads: let's go down to the course of action. Again, it's the same same background as given before. It's all filed to the same. So plaintiff Jane Doe is a female who resides in New York. Defendant Sean Combs is a male who, on information belief, it resides in New York City through incarceration in Metropolitan Detention Center. Let's go down a bit more. And he's got and the parties listed as well are businesses tied to Sean Combs, also known as Diddy in this case. Okay, so the factual allegations are for Jane Doe says, in or around June 1995, plaintiff attended a promotional party at Elks Plaza in New York City for the music video "One More Chance" by Biggie Smalls. The event was packed with high-profile guests. While plaintiff was dancing with friends, Combs approached her and asked her to speak with her privately. Expecting an innocent conversation, plaintiff agreed and followed him. Once alone in a bathroom, Combs unexpectedly began kissing plaintiff. Feeling uncomfortable and confused, plaintiff asked him to slow down, believing they were there to talk. Now, while reading this, let me not jump the gun. Let me not jump ahead too quickly. Let me finish reading it, and then I'll share my thoughts afterwards. Okay, I'll read that part again. It says, feeling uncomfortable and confused, plaintiff asked him to slow down, believing they were there to talk. Instead, Combs advanced aggressively. When plaintiff attempted to pull away, he violently struck her, slamming her head against the wall and causing her to fall to the floor. Disoriented and in pain, plaintiff tried to escape, but Combs hit her again, making it nearly impossible for her to move. Combs then lifted her dress and raped her vaginally while she lay helpless on the floor. Plaintiff tried to resist, but her injuries and shock left her powerless. After the assault, Combs adjusted his clothing in a nonchalant manner and threatened plaintiff by saying, "You better not tell anyone about this or you will disappear," leaving plaintiff terrified for her life. Combs left the bathroom, abandoning plaintiff in a state of shock, fear, and shame. Plaintiff remained on the floor for a while trying to regain her composure. Plaintiff felt intense pain in her head from the blows and was emotionally shattered. After some time, she managed to stand, fix her underwear and dress, and wipe away her tears. Terrified that someone from Cohn's business might be waiting outside to harm her, plaintiff cautiously gathered the courage to leave the bathroom. Plaintiff led the party and never returned. Since the assault, plaintiff avoided the news as it triggers traumatic memories. For years, plaintiff kept the assault secret, fearing the retaliation from Combs and Combs' business. And it makes sense as well that now that he is in prison and indicted, that this lawsuit is filed. And not just that, also that there is a window to even file the lawsuit, because I think if there was no avenue to file the lawsuit, I think she would have gone to the press. But then again, no, she is filing as a Jane Doe, so that's unlikely. But what I wanted to say earlier, it was this part, feeling uncomfortable and confused. I could picture it in my head because she's trying to be nice. Like she is trying to be nice, and it's like, okay, slow down, asking him to slow down. Some people like Combs, like Diddy, like when they hear the word slow down, that for them that means no, come closer, advance more, do more. They don't see anything as a no. Right. Like that's just how they are. They don't understand anything as a no. How do I know this? One day I'm gonna go through the textbooks, like to actually that actually goes into the mind of these people, so that people can see. I'm still looking for these books. I've got a few out in regards to survivors of child sexual abuse, etc., and survivors of rape, etc. But there is I'm still trying to find the current literature that would hopefully go into the mindset of these people, but they can't take no for an answer. So I believe when she asked him to slow down, that's when when plaintiff attempted to pull away, he finally struck her, slamming her head against the wall. It's like, slow down. I can picture it. Slow down. He continues, and then she pulls away, and then he gets aggressive, more and more aggressive. How dare you reject me? Basically, it's the same thing. But this one is not as random. It's not as calculated, but it's not as random either as John Doe. This one is just you are a woman. How could you, or how dare you reject me, sort of thing. And then I can probably see a backhand rather than the the full frontal. I can see the backhand being used as a sign of disrespect. So they're all the same. Let's go on. Before we go on to number 3, that was number 3. Okay, before we go on to number 4, I just want to say, if you have not pressed the like button, make sure you hit the like button, and also let me know how you're feeling in the chat, in the chat below. So I will read out a chat. Let me know how you're feeling in the chat below. Okay, I forgot to turn that on as well. Okay. So let's go on to John. Sorry, not John. John Doe from North Carolina. That was the 4th lawsuit that we read. No, that was the 5th lawsuit. That was the 5th lawsuit that we read. We're now into the 6th lawsuit, the final one, and this is from John Doe in North Carolina. I will read the cause of action for John Doe, as this one was probably, a lot of people probably read this and thought, why is this bad? This doesn't seem bad at all, but it's really bad. So the parties are plaintiff John Doe is male who resides in North Carolina, and defendant Sean Combs, who is of the belief incarcerated in Metropolitan Detention Center in New York. Okay, let's go down. And he's also suing his business as well for enabling all of this. I think they're all the same businesses that they're all suing for. Each I'll just read this part. It says each of the Combs corporations aided and abetted Combs in committing the unlawful sexual violence against plaintiff described herein. Alter egos for Combs completely dominated by him and use of his personal interest to engage in wrongdoing which harm plaintiff and others, and served as vehicles for plaintiff to move, dispose of, or insulate its assets, including connection with its criminal activities, and to avoid compensating the victims of his many crimes, including plaintiff. Okay, in this lawsuit, the factual allegations are as follows. It says, Mr. Combs, paragraph 34 says, number 34 says, Mr. Combs' legendary white parties in the Hamptons are well known by many, including John Doe, the kind of where countless celebrities will attend. In 1998, when John Doe was 16 years old, he was recruited out of New York City, and indeed, while residing in New York City, received an invitation to one of the Combs parties through a mutual connection. When he received the invitation, he felt like he finally had the opportunity to rub shoulders with the who's who of the industry. He thought it could be his chance to break into the music industry. Others from New York City received such an invitation to go to the Hamptons for the party. Indeed, many of those at the party were in fact New Yorkers. The party took place at Combs' mansion in the Hamptons. As John Doe entered, he spotted countless celebrities and A-listers who form the music and entertainment industry. He recognized faces as he has seen on TV and on the big screen. As John Doe made his way through the crowd toward the West Room, he unexpectedly bumped into Combs. Shocked John Doe found himself face to face with Combs, a titan in the music industry, standing right in front of him at his own party. Doe took a picture with Combs at the 1998 party. Combs took an interest in John Doe and wanted to talk to him. They walked to a more private area near the portable restrooms brought in for the party. There, John Doe told Combs he was a big fan of Combs and shared his dreams of becoming a star. Combs smiled, telling him he had the potential and the look. When John Doe admitted his voice was not great, Combs assured him that did not matter. Combs made clear that the only thing that mattered was having the right look for the industry, and with it, Combs could transform Doe or anybody into a star. Grooming. Well, this is gaining his trust, basically. Despite the pleasant conversation which occurred, things took an unexpected turn for the worse. Combs abruptly told John Doe that he needed to drop his pants. John Doe, quote, completely off guard, confusingly asked Combs to repeat himself. Combs made himself clear. He instructed John Doe to drop his pants and expose his penis so that Combs could inspect it, and explaining it was a rite of passage and the route to becoming a star, and also as a way to prove himself. Don't you want to break into the business? And you can tell. And you can tell as well. Let me not jump ahead. Let me continue reading on. I will go back to this. Doe immediately felt uncomfortable, froze, and did not know what to do. Combs remained calm and stood in front of him and stretched out his hands in a cooperation out of fear and anxiety and imbalance or power dynamic between himself and Combs. John Doe then dropped his pants and exposed his penis as Combs previously instructed. Combs moved closer and grabbed John Doe's genitals and told him that his people would be in touch. Combs continued with his party as if nothing had happened, but for John Doe, everything had changed. John Doe eventually recognized Combs sexually assaulted him by and through his power and influence. John Doe. Hold on a second. Through his power and influence over John Doe, because he knew John Doe wanted to become a star. As a result of Combs' sexual assault onto John Doe, while he was a minor, John Doe experienced damages including pain and suffering, mental anguish, physical impairment, and emotional torment. The interaction continues to humiliate and cause shame on John Doe. Massive trigger warning. Because of Combs' power and notoriety, plaintiff was afraid to report what had happened. John Doe became yet another sexual assault victim of Combs through the same pattern and abuse of influence Combs exercised over others previously. So the course of action is by forcing sexual contact on plaintiff as a young male minor. Defendant Combs committed a crime motivated by gender under the Victims' Gender Motivated Violence Protection Act. Okay, so I should have said trigger warnings at the start. That's my bad. But these. So to go back to what I was saying here, this one is a lot more insidious because this one is advantageous. It's one that it's more opportunistic, and he knows the power he has. He knows that this child wants something, and he knows he can give it to him as well. So as reading this, it comes across as him having a lot of calm while he was saying all of this to him, like it didn't faze him. I'll go back to the point that I wanted to make here. So it says here, despite the pleasant conversation which occurred, things took an unexpected turn for the worst. Combs I probably told John Doe that he needed to drop his pants. John Doe caught completely off guard, confusingly asked Combs to repeat himself. He's like, "Excuse me," like probably didn't even say "excuse me." He's like "sorry" or "pardon" or something like that. And he instructed, and then he goes on to say it properly. He's like, "Drop your pants now," basically, something like that. Don't you want to break into the business? This is a rite of passage. You gotta do it because he knows that this guy is just. He knows that this guy is just a kid. For one, for two, he's not gonna run around being like, "Hey, look what this guy is doing to me," because he knows. He knows he'll be confused. He knows he'll be helpless. So John Dope dropped his pants, and then he goes on to just do whatever he wants with it. This one is opportunistic. There was no. He knows he can get away with it, and then he it could it's akin to um it's akin to someone who, how do I say it? It's akin to somebody who not only knows his power but also knows that everyone around him is not gonna say anything, even if the kid was to scream. He knows even if the kid decided to walk away and he goes ape ish on the kid, nothing's gonna happen to him. He just like that's the one thing that just chilled me over this. It's just this sheer calmness. It's a sheer calmness of all of this, making everything sound so normal. Don't you want to break into the music business? It's a rite of passage that everyone has to go through, and I believe it's through this kid we can see its mentality and its approach towards everyone, because he must see this as a rite of passage to everyone, that if they meet him, they gotta go through him to gain favor. But it's also ever changing. It's never static. It's never the same with value with everyone. Everyone is treated. Everyone is. He doesn't. His violence doesn't discriminate. It basically, which is just. I am triggered by all this. Especially for this kid, because this one is way more terrifying. This one is way more terrifying. Because he just dropped his pants. He had no say in it. He just had to stand there and get fondled upon. This one is this one. This one can cause someone to take their life, and also the previous one. All of these incidents has a lot of mental anguish and torment that comes with them. So So that is so let's go on to read. Oh, I hate this man. Wherefore, I hate this man. I hate everything about this man so much. He's just a kid, man. Wherefore, plaintiff respectfully requests that the judgment be entered against defendants as follows. awarding compensatory damages for all physical injuries, emotional distress, psychological harm, anxiety, humiliation, physical and emotional pain, and suffering, uh, family and social destruction, and other harm in an amount to be determined at trial. And this one might hit the trial. Okay. I think my Adobe has froze, so um okay, I couldn't finish that particular one. My Adobe has frozen, so oh, okay. Yeah, we got it back. I think it's because of the screen sharing. Okay, cool. Awarding of punitive damages in amount determined at trial. Awarding attorney's fees. He wants attorney's fees covered. I think they're all the same. They all want attorney's fees covered, punitive damages as well as damages according to New York State law, and they're all represented by the Busby law firm. The rite of passage line scares the heck out of me. A rite of passage. I wonder how many times he has said that. Honestly, I do. I don't know why this one particularly bothers me a lot. So all of the lawsuits are here. They're all in the description. I think Aliza English. Let me find her lawsuit quickly, because I don't think I don't think I went through. Sorry, not Alicia. Sorry, Adria English lawsuit. So I'll go through that now. I don't think I have ever covered that. I don't think we have ever been through that one. So let's go through that one quickly before we move on to Robert Tayer's sentencing. So let me Adria English. This is so it's kind of similar. It goes through the previous lawsuits filed against Combs, but in this particular one, it goes into prior to any of the cases before being filed, defendant Combs was named as a defendant in civil sexual lawsuit in Florida involving Trey Songz. I can't be Trey Songz' co-op. Yeah, I can actually. I've been hearing about defendant Combs was also implicated in a lawsuit in California against R&B singer Chris Brown for sexual assault that took place on a yacht anchored at defendant Combs' Star Island in Miami, Florida. Chris Brown was also referenced in the lawsuit between plaintiff Ronnie Jones, defendant implicating Mr. Brown in Mr. Combs' LA home, consulting with underage girls and sex workers. This is now the 10th lawsuit filed against defendant Combs since November 16th, 2023. Before I continue on, due to these numerous lawsuits filed against defendant Combs alleging the same or similar acts, there is now a growing awareness that defendant Combs was engaging in far more sinister acts than previously known, including physical abuse and sex trafficking. Let me continue reading. Let me continue reading this one. I'm finishing it off. Specifically, from 2004 to 2009 was sex trafficked by defendant Combs, Thomas, and Araboff. Additionally, because defendant Combs because of defendant Combs' relationship with defendant Vibe, due to their conspiracy in sex trafficking enterprise, defendants knew they could be punished. Defendants knew they could publish plaintiff's likeness without consent, and fear of recourse chose plaintiff's likeness to use without permission, in an effort to continue the defendant's sex trafficking enterprise for their financial benefit. Therefore, plaintiff brings claims pursuant to New York law, code 51, 50, 51, and 15 USC. Plaintiff can support her allegations with this complaint within this complaint, and has lived her adult life with the memories of being trapped in a cycle of sex trafficking she never asked to be a part of, and was chosen because defendant Combs knew he could groom her. For years, plaintiff has been affected by defendant's actions and has suffered extreme emotional distress, impacting nearly every plaintiff's life and personal relationships. Given all the brave individuals who have come forward against defendant Combs, plaintiff is doing the same. Plaintiff brings this action seeking injunctive, declaratory, and monetary relief against defendant's violation of the Victims of Gender Motivated Protection Law, Gender Motivated Violence Act, NYC Admin Code 10-1101. 10-1101. Okay, cool. Let's go down to, before we read the cause of the, actually let me read this. I thought I could skip this. Parties defending Sean Combs resides in both Florida and California, and upon information, a British citizen of the state of California. All relevant times, the defendant Combs was a citizen and resident of the state of New York. Defendant Combs is a rapper, etc., known as Puff Daddy, blah blah. So okay, cool. Let me read this. No, nothing more. So the other defendant is Bad Boy, Sean John Clothing, defendant Combs Global, and defendant Tamiko Thomas. We'll read now. Defendant Thomas, upon information and belief, is a news party. Defendant Tamiko Thomas was an employee of Bad Boy Entertainment at all relevant times. Defendant Thomas, in employment capacity, was responsible for transporting and making payments to individuals like plaintiff in furtherance of a corrupt organization of a sex trafficking on behalf of defendant Combs and the beneficiaries of the corrupt organization, including defendants Jacob, Vibe, and PMC. Defendant Jacob Araboff, Jacob the Juror. Upon information and belief, the defendant Jacob at all relevant times was the resident of the state of New York. Upon information and belief, defendant Jacob at all relevant times was a citizen of New York State, despite being born in Uzbekistan. The defendant Jacob was a beneficiary of the corrupt organization run by defendant Combs, Bad Boy Entertainment, Thomas, Vibe, and PMC, and is pictured with the plaintiff above when he knowingly had intercourse with plaintiff who was trafficked for that specific purpose. Defendant Jacob in 2008 was sentenced to 2.5 years in federal prison regarding a multi-state drug ring, and was fined $50,000, $50,000 I should say, and had to forfeit $2 million to the U.S. government. Prior to being imprisoned, defendant Jacob frequented parties thrown by defendant Combs and Bad Boy Entertainment, where he knowingly participated in the illegal commodification of women through sex trafficking. Upon information and belief, defendant Jacob still runs a business, Jacob & Co., licensed to do business in New York with his headquarters. So let me go out. So defendant Vibe Magazine is here. Penske Media is also here. Penske Media, damn. Upon information, okay, the defendant Penske Media does business do the business in New York throughout its ownership of defendant vibe, and its distribution of several media outlets that are distributed, marketed, and consumed in this jurisdiction. But I think Penske Media owns Hollywood Reporter, People Magazine. I think that's a big company right there. That's big. That's a big organization. Plaintiff Adria English. Okay, I don't want to see all that. I should send. Is this what up? No, that's not right. That's not what I want. Okay, factual aggregation. That's the one. Okay, plaintiff's employment. Okay, so employment at defendant Combs Labor Day White Party. So it says as agreed to between Mr. Gallo, defendant Thomas, defendant Combs, Sean John Clothing, and Bad Boy Entertainment. Plaintiff began her employment at the All-Star exclusive and lavish day parties thrown by defendant Combs and Bad Boy Entertainment called White Party. Mr. Gallo began his employment as a Sean John model. Plaintiff's first employment at a White Party was summer 2020 and 2004. Plaintiff believed this to be a legitimate employment opportunity. Plaintiff was picked up by defendant Thomas in a car driven by one of the defendant owned by defendant Combs, Bad Boy Entertainment, Sean John Clothing, CGE, and transported to defendant Combs' estate in the Hamptons. So this lawsuit is essentially saying that all of these acts were happening at the estate of Diddy. When plaintiff arrived at defendant Combs' Hampton Estates with the defendant Thomas and other sex trafficked individuals, defendant Thomas brought them to the room where they changed clothes and provided for them. Plaintiff's outfit in the above picture was provided as a uniform, as she was led to believe she was in an employment capacity, and plaintiff was required to wear the clothing provided as part of her employment. Plaintiff was also provided a separate room for the party away from where the partygoers congregated. That was used by plaintiff and other employees as a break room to take respite during the party, as plaintiff was there in an employment capacity. Plaintiff was encouraged to directly by defendant Thomas to provide lap dances and be sexually flirtatious with guests at the White Party. Plaintiff was also introduced and directed by defendant Combs to which guests plaintiff should focus attention and interaction to ensure his guests were having a great time. Plaintiff was strictly instructed by defendant Combs and Thomas on which bottles of alcohol and champagne female employees were to exclusively drink from, and also require plaintiff to take narcotics offered by White Party guests. Despite being forced to drink copious amounts of alcohol and consume illicit narcotics, the encounters plaintiffs was forced to endure was so excruciating that plaintiff remembers them and still answer to this day. Plaintiff was forced to consume liquor and illicit narcotics as part of her employment at the White Party. Upon information and belief, defendant Combs laced the liquor with ecstasy, which is why plaintiff provided strict rules on which bottles to consume them from. So she witnessed this. Plaintiff performed to the expectations of defendant Combs and was personally thanked for her obedience by defendant Combs, and was subsequently invited for future employment at the White Parties. Plaintiff was paid in cash at the end of the night, typically 4 to 6 a.m. once the party had concluded. Plaintiff was paid by defendant Thomas, who was given the money from defendant Combs. The first White Party in 2024 had no sinister intent or requirements for physical sexual contact. Seemed to be a legitimate employment opportunity. So, when plaintiff was offered employment in the preceding years at the Labor Day White Party, she accepted the employment opportunity. Plaintiff was employed as entertainment at subsequent white parties in the Hamptons, New York. Plaintiff was also transported to Hamptons by way of car service provided by defendant Combs and Bad Boy Entertainment, Sun John Clothing, CGE. I don't know which one that one stands for. Combs Gold or something, whatever. It doesn't matter. It doesn't really matter, to be honest. CGE. With a driver who was also an employee of either defendant Combs, BBE, SJC, CGE, or organizational does, and with defendant Thomas also being presented as liaison and coordinator between the employees and defendant Combs. Plaintiff would use numbers to provide contact either or both defendant Combs and Thomas to arrange transportation to the white parties. This included using the telephone and text messaging services to confirm the date, time, and location of pickup. The defendant Thomas would then arrive at the location provided by plaintiff at the agreed date and time in a chauffeur-driven vehicle or under the control of defendant Combs, which would include defendant Thomas, a member of defendant Combs' security team, and other employees were hired as entertainment for the party. Okay, we're now on 108. Let me pause here and read some of the chats. Let me read some of the chats here. The John Doe I read had multiple male assailants. So sad humans do things like this to one another. Absolutely. It's all power. It's about power. Full stop. Exactly. It's confused and ashamed. I think we're going back to the Jane Doe lawsuit here. Confused and ashamed. And also the John Doe, if I'm not mistaken. All of these things are about power, yes. Yeah, absolutely. Penske, it does get curious. I know, like the fact that Penske Media is even mentioned is actually Penske Media, who owns Jay Penske owns it. Penske Media Corporation. Yeah, this is the one. They own Deadline. Variety Magazine, Rolling Stone, and the Rob Report as well. Yeah. Okay. That's Penske Media. So in regards to it being about power, yes, it's about power, but also at the same time, it's also about domination as well. It's like it's like a kink. It's like a kink. That's the way I see it, because it's like a kink for those that like they just want to dominate. They don't like what is it BDSM? I don't know, something to do with that area as well. It's not just about power. It's like it's also about dominating, especially the John Doe from New Jersey, I believe. John Doe from New Jersey, or is it? I believe it's which the particular one that he decided to any raped just because the father died, and that's literally about domination. The power one is definitely the teenage John Doe. Yes. Yeah, you're right on that. That's definitely about power. That's definitely about power. It's not about dominating. That's definitely about power. The teenage John Doe, because that kid was he just wanted to go into the industry, and this guy knew knew that he had to go through him one way or the other. So let's go back into the the rest of this, and then we'll move on to Robert Tellers. This is Adria English lawsuit. If you haven't hit the like button yet, make sure you hit the like button, and also don't forget to subscribe as well onto the channel. We do content like this regularly, especially every week on the Unintentional Juror podcast. And also this week we are going through the trial watch of GA versus Leilani Simon. You can watch us live as we do that tomorrow, live on the channel. So anyway, moving on. 108, plaintiff was always provided wardrobes by defendants Thomas and Combs, and also provided a break room while attending white parties. Defendant Thomas and Combs groomed plaintiff into sex trafficking over time. Around the third white party, defendants Thomas and Combs demanded plaintiff begin engaging in vaginal sexual intercourse with guests, as they had learned about her past in the adult entertainment, and used it forcefully to coerce plaintiff into sex work for the benefit of the defendant Thomas and Combs and their beneficiaries. During this white party, plaintiff was provided a black dress to wear by defendant Thomas and Combs, which when previously plaintiff was provided white clothing like other guests and the theme of the party. Upon information and belief, plaintiff believes she was required to wear a black dress to the white party to denote her capacity there as an employee, but more sinister as a trafficked sex worker. One beneficiary is defendant Jacob, who plaintiff was demanded by defendant to Combs to engage in sexual intercourse during a white party. Plaintiff, fearing not only her safety but her and her then boyfriend's job security, did as instructed and went with defendant Jacob when she engaged in forced sexual intercourse with defendant Jacob at the demand and behest of defendant Combs. Plaintiff knew refusing defendant Combs' demands was not an option, and to do so would be at her and Mr. Guller's detriment. That's the picture there. Plaintiff was coerced by defendant Combs into consuming copious amounts of allegedly laced alcohol prior to being coerced and forced into having sexual intercourse with defendant plaintiff Jacob. We're gonna go stop here. We're gonna stop here. Oh wait, no, that's not right. We're gonna stop here for the Diddy cases and move on to we can pick this back up, the Adria English one. We can pick it back up because it's a very long lawsuit. It's a very long lawsuit detailing here. We're gonna pick it back up on the next episode and go through her lawsuit. We stopped at paragraph 122 because it's gonna get into defendant Thomas was to defendant Koto as Ghislaine Maxwell was to Jeffrey Epstein. What a comparison. But yeah, we're gonna go into all of this on the next episode. Hopefully there are no new lawsuits by then. Hopefully there are no new lawsuits. I don't know these days, to be honest. There could be new lawsuits filed by now and before Sunday, so who knows at this point. But yes, let's go into let's go into Robert Tellers sentencing order. Where is it? Yeah, okay, here is the sentencing order. Let's go into this. So Robert Tellers, we have covered him on this channel. This is him getting sentenced for the crime of killing reporter Jeff Herman, I should say. Cold blood killed him right. So we're gonna go through the sentencings here.
Any legal cause or reason why judgment should not be pronounced against you this time?
No.
By virtue of the verdict returned by the jury's member and by the guilty of murder resisting deadly weapon, victim 60 years of age or older, does the state wish to be heard?
Just briefly, Your Honor, thank you. As the court well knows from sitting through this trial, the jury in this case found that Mr. Tellis willfully, deliberately, and with premeditation killed Mr. Gehrman. He did it by means of lying in wait, and it was inflicted on an older person. The jury also found that a deadly weapon was used, and Mr. Gehrman's age was, of course, over 60 at the time of the crime. Essentially, the jury found every single essential fact alleged by the state based on the investigation by Metro detectives. And they found that beyond a reasonable doubt after hearing from Mr. Tellis. The court gave him wide latitude to explain and offer evidence of all the hollow claims that he made pre-trial against detectives and elected officials. He made those same allegations at trial. He alleged detectives planted evidence. He alleged various conspiracy theories involving real estate companies. He claimed various detectives were unethical and that there were several corrupt officials involved in the circumstances he found himself in. The jury squarely and soundly rejected all of that. All of the theories offered by Mr. Tellis were rejected by the jury, and the jury was left with the facts and the evidence that have always been there since the beginning of the case. And that is that Mr. Tellis planned this extensively. He drove to Mr. Gehrman's house. He was lying in wait, and he attacked him from a place of cover. And of course, Mr. Gehrman was 69 years old at the time it occurred. The court knows from the evidence in the trial that the planning was extensive. Mr. Tellis used taxpayer-issued resources to look up personal information about Mr. Gehrman. He scoped out Mr. Gehrman's neighborhood ahead of time, and then of course he attacked someone much older than him by surprise. His reason—
He actually still believes that he's innocent. He actually still believes he's innocent. All right.
For doing this, we learned was that he didn't like what Mr. Gehrman had written about him. He felt that Mr. Gehrman had cost him an elected position. This type of violence, this sort of political violence, because of being upset about an article that has been written about you, is unacceptable and dangerous to our community as a whole. Beyond that, Mr. Gehrman's position as a reporter for decades in Clark County, his death affects the community in a unique way. There are many people who are readers who felt like they knew Mr. Gehrman and relied upon him to supply them with information about various news within Clark County. And finally, and most importantly, the family of Mr. Gehrman lost a beloved family member, an uncle, and a brother. Based on all of these factors, the state respectfully asks for the maximum sentencing enhancement available to the court. We do have one victim speaker.
Thank you. Mr. Tellis, do you wish to address the court?
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you.
First of all, I want to say that the family has my deepest condolences. They're, Mr. Gehrman was, very impactful in the community. He made a difference. And we know from testimony by the family that he was a good brother and a good uncle. And I understand the desire to seek justice and have somebody accountable for this. But I did not kill Mr. Gehrman. And unfortunately, the people who should be held responsible, who should be brought to justice, the chances of that happening now, right this minute, are slim to none. But that said, again, my deepest sympathies to the family, and I wish them well as they navigate the rest of this tragedy.
Thank you very much. Mr. Jackson?
Your Honor, I'll be brief. Your Honor was very attentive through this trial, which was lengthy. You know, the jury was able to hear the state's case, the defense's case, and they ultimately reached their verdict, and we're not here to question their verdict this morning. Mr. Tellis exercised his constitutional right to go to trial and to testify, period. That's what makes this country so great, this judicial system where we take cases, we take facts, we take theories of prosecution and defense and present it to a jury. Obviously, the jury was very thorough and careful. They took 3 days to go through everything before they reached their ultimate conclusion. Mr. Tellis was convicted. To punish him for doing that, I'm not anticipating that the court would ever do this, and I'm not saying that Your Honor is, to punish him for exercising his constitutional right is obviously inappropriate. He intends to pursue an appeal. Obviously, again, that's not really for today's discussion. What is his utter lack of criminal history. If you look on page 3 of the pre-sentence investigation report, criminal record, we have a long string of zeros, felonies, gross misdemeanors, prison, jail. He doesn't have any prior convictions. You know, he's not a recidivist that is before this court or others repeatedly being convicted or entering pleas for violent crime, saying, "Judge, this time give me a chance. This time things will be different." Your Honor heard from his family. He's an exemplary father. He was a good student. He was elected to office. In most part, he was a good husband. We have to look at the entire man. He's been convicted of perhaps the most serious offense. He carries one of the heaviest sentences in our judicial system. The jury elected to give him the opportunity at redemption. There obviously was an element of retribution in the sentence they imposed, but nonetheless they gave him the opportunity to one day be released. What's before Your Honor is, again, how much above that 20-year sentence will he have to serve before he's eligible for parole. Given his utter lack of criminal history, I would urge the court to sentence him to something less than the maximum. I mean, the maximum sentence, we can't stack these enhancements. I mean, maximum sentence would be an additional 8 to 20 years. I'm going to urge the court to allow the parole board a bit more discretion. I would urge the court to consider a 1 to 10 year enhancement, which is allowable under statute, and allow the parole board to determine when he should be released. Of course, it's a two-step program. Number one, he'd have to be eligible for parole on the murder count, which won't occur until 20 years is served, but then there's the second consecutive sentence that must be served for the enhancements. I would urge the court to impose a sense of leniency in that he has no prior criminal record. Mr. Tellis has been actively engaged in his defense since the get-go. That continues through today. Again, I would urge the court to not hold that against him. And based upon the evidence Your Honor has heard, statements of the parties, our arguments, and the information contained within the pre-sentence investigation report, which I just want to put on the record, there's no Stockmeyer issues. We've submitted to Your Honor's sound discretion.
Thank you very much. And you call the first witness.
Chairman.
Do you solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give in this action shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Can you please state and spell your first and last name for the record?
Sure. Jay German, Jaygerman.
Thank you.
Good morning.
Good morning, Judge. Thank you for allowing me to just talk a little bit. Yeah, we lost a brother. We lost an uncle, a friend, a leader. We're still in shock, and it's been 2 years. And I mean, it's going to take a long time to recover from this. It's taken up this whole ordeal, the trial, the crime, the murder. It's taken a big toll on our family. And it's been immense. It's been really difficult for all of us. We're doing our best to get through it. We really are. But he was our leader, and it's, we're never going to see him again, and it's hard to come to that realization, but we're dealing with it. It's just going to take a long process for all of us, to recover. We're struggling with it, but we're doing the best, and we miss him dearly. We really do. We've had a couple of his birthdays since he's passed, and it's nice to get together as a family and, kind of visit with Jeff, but it's not the same, and it never will be. We've lost a lot. He lost a lot. We have a lot of anxiety about the future safety of our family, if and the children of our family, if Robert Tellis were to be released after just 20 years of incarceration. But thank you for letting me take a few minutes to talk about Jeff and our family.
Thank you. Thank you for your testimony. Anything else?
Not on behalf of the state.
Okay, in accordance with the laws of the state of Nevada, this court does now sentence you as follows. In addition to the administrative assessment, the DNA fee, and the collection fee, you'll be required to submit to genetic marker testing. At this time, the court's going to sentence you to life in the Nevada Department of Corrections with parole eligibility beginning after a minimum of 20 years has been served, and after considering all the factors enumerated in NRS 193.165, the court's going to sentence you to a consecutive 8 to 20 years for the deadly weapon enhancement, for an aggregate 28 to life in the Nevada Department of Corrections. He has 771 days. Does the defense agree with that?
Yes, we do.
Okay, and the restitution, was there any objection to the restitution amount?
No, Your Honor.
And proposed restitution, the amount of $23,347.71 to the victim's family.
Okay, so right there, he has been sentenced to 28 years in prison. 28 years in prison. And wow, good riddance to Robert Tellis, who killed Jeff German on cold-blooded. We covered this throughout we covered recaps of his trial on this channel before we start doing Trial Watch. We're gonna be doing the same with Leilani, Simon, and also we're going to be looking at the sentencing of Ashley Benefield as well on the Unintentional Juror podcast next week. So we're gonna end it here. So before we do end it, let me just say thank you to everyone that have tuned in here. Thank you everyone that has tuned in for another episode of the Unintentional Juror. I'm glad that you all are here. Please hit the like button and also the subscribe button if you guys have liked what you see on the show. We'll be back next week for the sentencing of Ashley Benefield, where we're going to discuss that, and also discussing the Adria English her lawsuit against Diddy. We shall also be going through that on the episode 12 of the Unintentional Juror podcast. But yeah, in regards to Robert Tellis sentencing, for those that didn't know, he was pictured wearing a sombrero, a really big hat, going into Jeff German's home, and he had, when Jeff German returned home from the store, he had beaten him cold blood to death, like completely massacred him. The neighbors that came to see him, he was practically unrecognizable to them. Of course, Robert Tellis did disagree with this and said that he has been set up by a professional. I tried to give him the benefit of the doubt as much as possible. I really did. But when he got onto the stand and had to present his case and argue his case, it completely was full of really based his theories, and as a subsequent result, he was sentenced. As a subsequent result, the jury found him guilty of this crime. The one thing that was keeping me going, at least to try and given the benefit of doubt, is that two things can coexist. They could be a plan to take out Tejas in terms of make him lose businesses, but not really be responsible for the murder. But on this occasion, he has been found guilty of murder, and I believe it was the right decision simply because of the fact that there was lack of evidence provided by Tejas to prove a conspiracy to kill Jeff German and set Tejas up. There was nothing connecting the two, so that was that. So without further, I'm gonna end it there. Thank you so much for everyone that tuning in. I'll see you guys tomorrow for the GAV Lelai Salmon case. That case we're gonna be streaming live on the channel, so don't miss that. And also don't miss the next episode of the Unintentional Juror podcast happening next Sunday, same time. That's not gonna change. So without further, I'm gonna leave you guys here. Thank you so much for tuning in, and take care of yourself. Bye bye. The show is over, but that does not mean that the fun has to end. And I know how cliche that sounds, but really and truly, the fun really does not have to end. You know how good our streams are and how fun they can be. So we have decided to put them all into a podcast and a playlist format for you to binge on if you so wish. We also do recaps and clips of the best bits, the worst bits, all of those bits, lady bits, every bits, whatever it might be. We do that as well, and we upload onto the channel so in case you guys just wanna you don't wanna watch the full thing, you have the option of watching just the short versions. It's up to you. You have the choice. You have the power, like E-Man. So without further, you can also check out the main Heinz website where we continue the discussions over there, but in a more broader context to try and get into the psychology of why all these things happen. The end screen should be up here so that you guys can see the content you guys can watch. The playlist will be on your left hand side or right hand side, I don't know which one, and the video that and a recap clip should pop up here. So without further, I'll just say bye, and I'll see you on the next stream, and most importantly, the Unintentional Juror podcast. See you there.